Alright, this tree is a spruce and I bought it in a garden center for around $20, which is a fairly good price. It's been a grafted material, so you can still see a bit of the graft here, but not too much, so it looks pretty good. Looking at the tree from all angles, it's a very straight trunk. Sometimes someone would suggest you could use it for a literati material, so a very slender trunk, and you bring the branches down a lot. But really, especially this part, it's so boring and so straight. So if we start talking about the decision-making process, I think there's no discussion at all. This has to come off. So all this will come off, simply because this part is so boring and we cannot correct for it in any way. So I'll start right away and I'll just prune it. I'll leave a good stump of about an inch or 2 or 3 centimeters, which we can use to create a gin feature. But for now, help again. Gone. Half the foliage in just one cut, and it's gone. Alright, so the next decision I need to make is between these 3 branches. One of them will become the new trunk, and I'm just trying to figure out which one. So this is rather small, so I don't really like that, so I'll just take this one out and I'll leave a stump as well. So then the decision is between these 2 branches. So basically that means that either this could be the front or this could be the front. And I think looking at this side, the trunk isn't as interesting as this side. So I'm leaning towards using this as our new trunk leader. So I'm going to prune this one, again leaving a good stump that we can use for a gin feature. And those are the big cuts. So most of this I will use, and most of the other branches as well. So it is fall right now, which is a good time to do this kind of work and to make these drastic cuts and removing more than half of all the foliage. You need to know that the tree is healthy. And knowing that the tree is healthy, usually I look at the color of the foliage. So this looks very healthy and new, and also because it's fall now, you can already see some of the buds for the next spring. And there's many buds looking very healthy, so the tree is in really good condition. I've had it for some time and I know it's healthy, so you can do this work. If your tree is not as healthy, don't touch it. Make sure that it's in better condition before you start shaping it. And another piece of advice is, today I'm pruning this tree a lot, and I'll also wire it. So I decide not to do any repotting, so I won't touch the roots. The root mass will stay intact and be able to grow new branches out. I might repot it in the next early spring, but maybe even in a year from now, in the next fall, that could also be a moment to repot, but not everything at the same time. The next step, I'll select a bit more of the branches and then add some wire around the branches and set everything in position. So one of the big things to do is to really lift this up more vertically, because this is going to be the new trunk, and I'll make these parts into a bold gin feature. And then bringing down some of these branches again to really shape the tree. So most of the shape of the tree is actually used from the new trunk leader, and I only use a few of these original branches.
This branch has grown too thick and will be removed. We will use younger branches instead, because these can still be bent and shaped. On some places on the trunk there are too many branches, so we will remove a few of these. We also remove dangling growth to prepare the tree for wiring. Deciding on the design of a bonsai isn't always easy, especially when a tree is as full and overgrown as this plant. Try to apply the pruning guidelines we just mentioned to your own trees. And if you are interested to learn more about these techniques, consider enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. Here, expert teachers explain the relevant techniques, and you can ask them questions. For a free lesson, go to bonsaiempire.com/courses. To make the tree appear a bit older, we are removing the bark off these pruned branches.
All right, so what's left of the tree is very little. I think we removed perhaps 60–70% of the foliage. Again, it's perfectly fine, the tree is healthy. So how do we make a tree of what's left here? An important step to do that is to really bring this up and vertical so that it continues the trunk line completely. I can use a thick wire to do that, but actually it's much easier to use a guy wire and use the dead wood here, bring the new trunk there. So I'll wrap the wire with a piece of tube which will protect the living tissue of this new trunk. So once this is up straight, then we can start wiring the branches and put them in position. So I'll wire almost all the branches in detail and bring them down a little bit as well.
Try to select pairs of branches that are more or less of the same thickness and wire these with one piece of wire. Start with wiring the main branches and slowly work your way up the tree. Smaller and thinner branches need a thinner wire as well.
All right, so the entire tree is detail wired. Every single side branch has been wired as well. And lastly, after putting the wire on, I thought it was a better idea to first do the wire and then to make the guy wire. We made this branch into the new trunk line. Now, in the future, I might want to bend this even a little bit more to make it a bit more straight, but for now, this is more than enough, and I want to make sure that there's no damage anywhere here where we make this big bend. So the next step and the last step for today is to bring all these branches in shape, mostly bring them down as well. So all these branches that are now pointing upwards will be brought down and pointing upwards a little bit again, and we'll add some movement as well. Slight movement. The trunk is quite straight, so I don't want to have branches that are going all over the place with many twists and turns. All right, so the first bend to make is this directional branch, and it will need to come down a lot and then maybe pointing a little bit towards the front, not too much, but it will have to come down a lot. So what I'm doing is I'm bending over my finger, really downwards, and then slightly up again here and towards the front. All right, so this branch will be the back branch. Also, this one will be brought down and a little bit more towards the back. Now I don't want it as low as this one because this is the first branch, so this one will be a little bit higher just to give that difference because they are starting mostly in the same spot. So down and a little bit more to the back. All done, pruned, wired, everything is set in position and I'm quite happy with it actually. Since we took off so much foliage, I didn't want to thin out the top too much. So this is a little bit fuller than the end result that I have in mind, but for now it's fine and it's good for the health of the tree to have a few of these long branches. So we left most of the buds, the terminal shoots, we left intact so that come early spring everything can grow out and the tree will recover nicely. So I'm thinking this might be repotted in the early spring, so 6 months from now, which should be fine, but otherwise maybe a year from now in fall. But let's see how the tree reacts and then deal with it. Also, this is quite tight, but in the end I might even push this a little bit closer towards the gin feature here. And of course these gin features need some work as well. I'll do that by the time that I do the repotting. For now the tree is finished. We're going into winter here, so I'll protect it from very harsh conditions like very strong frost, for example. But the tree will be outside, sunny, and will be fine just like that. So in early spring I'll also start fertilizing the tree and make sure that it has all the nutrients it needs to recover from all the pruning we did. But for today I think we did a good job. So we went from a tall big tree all the way to nice almost show-in size tree. We'll have to find a nice container for it next, but for now this is all we'll do.
Learn how to create your own bonsai trees by enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. We explain techniques like pruning, wiring and repotting, and you can ask questions to the teachers. For the curriculums and free lessons, go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.